Have you ever stood at a crossroads where one choice could cost you your future, but walking away could cost you your soul? That's exactly where Jamal Carter found himself. It was 7:42 a.m. in the heart of Chicago, the kind of cold, rain-soaked morning that made the city feel like it was weeping. From the cracked pavement of Belmont Avenue to the fogged-up windows of the laundromat he passed every morning, everything looked gray, tired, worn down. Just like South Ashland, the neighborhood Jamal had spent all 26 years of his life trying to escape. But today was different. Today, Jamal wasn't just another face in the crowd, not just another young black man in a city that often looked right through him. Today, he wore a suit, not a flashy one. Navy, slightly faded, fitted the best he could manage. His tie was straight, his shoes were shined, and tucked under his arm was a black leather portfolio containing 6 printed resumes, 3 letters of recommendation, and 2 years' worth of hope. He was on his way to the interview of a lifetime at Langston and Burke, one of the most prestigious investment firms in the Midwest. It wasn't just a job, it was a gateway, a doorway into a world his late father used to describe with tired eyes and calloused hands. The world where they listen to you when you talk. And Jamal had made it through the first cut. He'd passed the phone interview, crushed the finance case study. His last hurdle? One in-person final round at 9 a.m. He glanced at the time on his phone. 7:43 a.m. Still on schedule. The cold wind bit through his coat as he passed the bus depot. A few construction workers leaned against a wall, sipping coffee and eyeing him. Their stares weren't hostile, but they weren't warm either. Judging, disbelieving. Court date? One of them muttered under his breath, just loud enough. Jamal didn't flinch. He'd heard it before, too many times. A black man in a suit wasn't assumed to be professional. He was assumed to be pleading not guilty. His mom's voice echoed in his head. Walk past him, baby. You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting better. And so he kept walking. His hands tightened around the handle of the portfolio. Not because of fear, but because he knew that after today, after this interview, he might never have to walk this route again. The train ride downtown was fast, but not fast enough to outrun the storm rolling in. When the doors opened at Monroe Station, the wind howled through the tunnel like a warning. As Jamal stepped onto the slick concrete, the first drop of rain splashed on his cheek. Cold, sharp, and then like a flipped switch, the heavens opened. The rain came down in sheets. No warning, no mercy. Within seconds, Jamal was soaked. His coat was heavy. His shoes, once polished to a mirror shine, were now waterlogged and squeaking with every step. He ducked under an awning to check the rideshare app. Nothing. No drivers. The system was jammed. Flooded streets, delays, gridlock. He tried again. Still nothing. He checked the time. 8:08 a.m. Still enough time to power walk if the storm let up. But it didn't. In fact, it got worse. Umbrellas flipped. Flyers flew. A briefcase floated past him like a boat in a gutter. The city was drowning and Jamal was caught in it, holding his future in a dripping leather folder. Still, he pushed forward. Step after step, rain slapping his skin, eyes half closed against the downpour. He could already see the outline of Langston and Burke's tower ahead, impossibly tall, glass glowing like gold behind the sheets of rain. Then, just when things felt unbearable, he saw it. A sleek black Mercedes idling awkwardly by the curb. The back tire was flat, completely sagged against the asphalt. The trunk hung open, and next to it stood an old man, maybe late 60s, clutching a wrench and struggling to work a rusted jack that wouldn't hold. No one stopped. Dozens passed by, heads down, pretending not to see. Jamal slowed, torn. That tower was calling him. Less than 4 blocks away. He was late, drenched. Every second now mattered. But then came a memory. He was 12, standing on the sidewalk near their apartment, while his mother helped an old woman cross the street in the pouring rain. Jamal had complained back then, "Mom, we're going to be late." But she had looked at him and said words he would never forget. Helping when it's easy doesn't make you good. Helping when it costs you something? That's when you find out who you are. Jamal didn't even realize he was already crossing the street. "Sir," he called out, voice cracking slightly from the cold. Let me help. The man looked up, startled, blinking through the rain. I'm fine, the man lied, wiping water from his eyes. No offense, but that jack's going to slip again. Let me do it right. Jamal shrugged off his jacket and knelt down beside the car, the cold biting through his dress shirt. His hands moved fast, muscle memory kicking in from summers spent with his uncle at the body shop in Bronzeville. He repositioned the jack, tested the bolt tension, loosened the lug nuts. 5 minutes later, the spare was on. The old man blinked in awe. You've done this before. Too many times, Jamal said, brushing his hands on his soaked slacks. Name's Jamal Carter. The man extended a hand, his grip firm despite the weather. Harold Stanton. Jamal blinked. He recognized that name, not from street corners or grocery stores, but from a headline, from Forbes. Harold Stanton, founder and chairman of Stanton Investments, a billionaire, philanthropist, finance mogul. But he didn't let on. He just smiled politely and said, You're all set, mister. Stanton. The older man hesitated. Do you have somewhere to be? Jamal's throat tightened. Yeah, I did. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt like an uphill battle against fate. When Jamal stepped through the revolving doors of Langston and Burke, soaked to the bone, clothes clinging to him like regret, every single eye in the polished marble lobby turned toward him. There was no hiding what he looked like, drenched, disheveled, defeated. No one smiled. No one nodded. They just stared, some with curiosity, others with judgment, and a few with that quiet smirk that says, You clearly don't belong here. But Jamal didn't shrink. He straightened his spine, wiped rain from his brow, and marched to the security desk. My name is Jamal Carter, he said, his voice firm despite his trembling fingers. I have a 9 a.m. interview with the Financial Development Division. The security guard tapped his tablet, eyes flicking over Jamal's appearance with barely hidden disdain. You're 21 minutes late, the man said coolly. They're pretty strict about timing up there. Jamal nodded. I know. I just got caught in something I couldn't ignore. The guard didn't care. He buzzed the elevator anyway. 14th floor. Good luck, he muttered, though it didn't sound like encouragement. Jamal stepped inside the chrome-walled elevator, his reflection staring back at him like a ghost of everything he wanted to be, but wasn't. Not anymore. His dreams dripped from his coat sleeves, his hard work stained across his pants and shoes. And still, he held his portfolio close, heart pounding with the tiniest flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they'd listen. Maybe someone in that room still remembered what it meant to start at the bottom. The 14th floor was quiet, too quiet. The receptionist, a woman with a flawless bun and a voice sharpened by professionalism, looked up as he stepped off the elevator. Her smile faltered slightly when she saw him. Good morning, she said carefully, as though balancing compassion and protocol. May I help you? I'm Jamal Carter, he said. I had a 9 a.m. with Mr. Kellerman. Her eyes drifted to the wall clock behind her. 9:21. I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. Mr. Kellerman has already moved on to the next round. His schedule is tight this morning. Jamal's breath caught in his throat. Not because it was a surprise, but because hearing it aloud hurt in a way he hadn't prepared for. I understand, he said softly, but could you at least give him this? He pulled out one of his now wrinkled resumes from the soaked portfolio. The corners curled, the ink smudged, but it still carried his name, his record, his fight. She hesitated, then took it gently. I'll make sure he sees it, she promised, and for a brief second, her voice softened. You made it farther than most. Jamal forced a nod, then turned. The elevator doors opened, and just like that, it was over. No dramatic moment, no second chance, no applause. Just the quiet, sterile descent back down to the world where people like him always had to start over. The city greeted him with sunlight. The storm had passed, but Jamal didn't notice. He walked past glass towers, past umbrellas drying in cafe windows, past people who would never know how close he had come. His shoes squished with every step. The wet leather squealed like tiny reminders of failure. And when he reached his neighborhood, South Ashland, the sound changed. Not because the rain had dried, but because Jamal did what he always did. He kept walking. Back to his apartment. Back to the scarred walls, the flickering light in the kitchen, the radiator that rattled like it was angry at the world. He sat at the chipped wooden table and stared at his laptop. The resume still glowed on screen, cursor blinking in quiet mockery. He didn't move for a long time, not until the phone buzzed. Ma? His thumb hovered. He couldn't tell her. Not yet. Not when she had cried when she ironed his shirt last night. Not when she'd sent his grandfather's cufflinks with a note. You'll walk into that room carrying 3 generations of our prayers. But she'd know something was wrong if he didn't answer. So he did. Hey, Ma. Baby. Her voice beamed. You've been on my mind all morning. How did it go? He hesitated. He wanted to lie. He wanted to say it was fine, that he nailed it, that the world finally let someone like him in. But instead, I didn't make it in time, he whispered. A pause, heavy with silence. You okay? She asked softly. I helped someone, he added. An old man stuck in the rain. Flat tire. No one else stopped. She didn't respond for a second. Then came the words only a mother could give. Then you already won, baby. Even if they didn't see it, you showed the universe who you are. He swallowed hard. But before he could say anything more, another call buzzed through. Unknown number. Chicago area code. Ma, I gotta go. Might be something. You go get what's yours, and she said, and hung up. Jamal answered. This is Jamal Carter. Mr. Carter, came a voice. Polished, composed, efficient. My name is Charlotte Ong. I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Harold Stanton. He'd like to meet with you this afternoon if you're available. Jamal froze. Stanton, he said. As in, Stanton Investments? Yes, sir. The founder himself. He asked me to reach out personally. 2 o'clock, 82nd floor, Stanton Tower. Would you be able to make it? He couldn't speak. All he could do was nod, then whisper, Yes. Yes, I can. We look forward to it, Charlotte replied and ended the call. Jamal stared at the phone in his hand like it had just handed him a new life, and in some ways, it had. By 1:15 p.m., Jamal stood at the base of Stanton Tower, a sleek glass and steel monolith that sliced through the skyline like it had been planted there by destiny itself. He wore the same navy suit. It was dry now, pressed the best he could manage. His shoes, once soaked, had been cleaned and shined until the scars from the storm looked like war medals. His tie was freshly knotted. His cufflinks, the same silver pair his mother had mailed him, his grandfather's. He took a deep breath before stepping through the automatic doors. This time, no one stared like he didn't belong. This time, when he approached the reception desk, the man behind it simply said, Mr. Carter, we've been expecting you, and handed him a sleek black access badge with a golden insignia. The elevator ride to the 82nd floor was quiet, but inside Jamal's chest, his heart roared. Not with fear, but with a single pounding question. Why him? Why would one of the most powerful CEOs in the country want to meet with a soaked, late rejected candidate from South Ashland? He didn't know, but he was about to find out. When the elevator doors opened, the space ahead didn't look like an office. It looked like a sanctuary. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed everything in golden light. The walls were lined with books, abstract art, and photographs of cityscapes, athletes, and families. It was personal, lived in, real. A woman in a navy suit greeted him with a warm, practiced smile. Mr. Carter, she said, I'm Charlotte. Mr. Stanton will see you shortly. Can I offer you anything? Water? Coffee? Just water, thank you, Jamal replied, his voice steady, even though his pulse hammered like a drum in his ears. She returned a moment later with a crystal glass and gestured toward a pair of tall oak doors. When he's ready, she said, take your time. But Jamal didn't want to wait. He didn't want time to think or doubt. When the doors clicked open moments later and Charlotte reappeared, her voice calm and composed. Mr. Stanton will see you now. He rose with quiet purpose. Inside, the room stretched wide with a panoramic view of the city. Chicago's towers gleamed under the afternoon sun, their shadows long and lean across the lake. The office was luxurious but not loud. Everything spoke of legacy. And there, standing by the window, was the old man. But not just any old man. Now Jamal saw him clearly, no longer hunched in a storm under a broken umbrella, no longer struggling with a jack. Now he was tall, composed, in his element. Harold Stanton, CEO, billionaire, power broker. Jamal's heart jumped. Harold turned with a smile, calm, knowing, and extended a hand. "Mr. Carter," he said, like they'd known each other a long time. "It's good to see you again." Jamal took the hand. Firm grip, no hesitation. This time he met Harold's eyes with confidence, though questions still swirled in his chest. "I didn't know," Jamal began, voice barely above a whisper. "That I was the man with the flat tire?" Harold finished with a chuckle. "That's precisely why I asked you here." Jamal blinked. "I figured I missed my chance. I wasn't on time. I wasn't ready." Harold motioned for him to sit. They took seats across from each other, sunlight warming the polished mahogany desk between them. "I read your resume," Harold began. "Or I should say, I read the version that was soaking wet and barely legible." Jamal flushed slightly. I, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to leave it." "You didn't leave it," Harold cut in gently. "You left an impression." There's a difference. He opened a drawer, pulled out the leather portfolio, still wrinkled, still water-stained, and placed it on the desk like a sacred artifact. "This folder told me your background," Harold continued. "Your education, your grades, your work ethic. But none of it told me who you were." He leaned forward, voice low but firm. "But helping me in that storm? That told me everything." Jamal stayed quiet, listening, processing. "Do you know how many people walked by me that morning?" Harold said, shaking his head slowly. 22. I counted. Men in suits, women in heels, young, old. Every single one looked away, pretended I wasn't there. He tapped the folder gently. "Except for you." Jamal swallowed. "I wasn't trying to be seen," he said quietly. Harold smiled. "And yet, you were." The silence between them was thick, but not uncomfortable. More like the kind of silence that comes before something important. "I'm not offering you the analyst job you interviewed for," Harold said after a long pause. Jamal nodded slowly, bracing for the final rejection, the door to quietly close. "I'm offering you something better." Jamal's breath caught. "You'll be my special assistant," Harold said. "You'll work beside me. Learn from me. You'll sit in rooms where most people spend decades trying to get a seat." Jamal's jaw dropped slightly. I don't know what to say." Harold's eyes softened. "Say yes." Jamal's voice cracked slightly. "Why me?" Harold stood, walking to the window. His reflection danced in the glass as he stared down at the city below. "Because once upon a time," he said, "I was a kid like you. Hungry, scared, smart, but invisible. And someone saw me. Before I ever proved anything." He turned back. "And now, I choose to see you." Jamal stood, slowly, reverently, his chest swelling with something bigger than relief, with belief, with purpose, with legacy. He reached across the desk, his hand trembling slightly, and shook Harold Stanton's hand. This time not as a soaked, broken kid begging for a shot, but as a man, seen, chosen, ready. Sometimes the universe doesn't test your skills, it tests your character. And if you pass, even the closed doors open wider than you ever imagined. What strikes me most about this story isn't that a billionaire gave a kid a second chance. It's that Jamal didn't help to be noticed. He helped because that's who he was. In a world that teaches us to climb, compete, and win at all costs, Jamal proved that humanity still matters. And honestly, that's the kind of person I'd hire too.